Computer slow today. There we go.
Okay, hi, good evening. Hi,
Good
Michelle.
morning.
Yeah, good morning. And both our times are very busy times. Morning, your kids are leaving to school. Evening, my kids are ready for bed. But we are making time because this is getting interesting every week. And I was just looking at the worthy book content. I was like, wow, 23 chapters. And I don't like to do two chapters somehow. I like to like really get onto each chapter because a lot of effort has gone in, and I think it's very interesting to dive deep a little every week. So 23 weeks, maybe we are together. Let's see how long we can go till the end.
Let's see.
And yeah, and then we can write a letter to Jamie saying we went for 23 weeks talking about your book. That would be a record, I think, for sure.
Yes.
So welcome, Michelle. How was your week? And let's dive in with Worthy Chapter 3. Would you like to start talking about it a bit? And we can show our Worthy book as always that we look at. And that's a Worthy book. And I will try and tag people as well and bringing some women who've been listening to our thing, but they've not been commenting. So I'll just bring them into the comment while you talk about what you are doing and what's happening otherwise. And let's talk about the book then.
Well, I think the title of this chapter was so poignant this week for exactly what I'm doing. It's You Are Not Crazy, You're First. And I think that actually ties into exactly what I'm doing. So I'm Michelle DeKeyser from Connecting Mamas. And right now I am in the midst of launching a Mama Genius Festival. And so I'm modeling it from someone who's done a festival already and using her model and taking her course to do this. But at the same time, it's something first, something different. And it's like my first big step into trying to culminate all these ideas that I've been doing for this business and putting it all together. And it's just, you get those moments as you're doing this, like, okay, it's not ready yet. I'm not here. Like, should I just quit? And then like reading this chapter really brings it in like, no, you got to keep going. Like, you're first. It feels crazy right now. It feels crazy to the outside world, like what you're doing sometimes, and actually getting support from certain people. Some people think I'm crazy. And then it's just, I love how she said you're crazy until. So
Yeah.
once you succeed in other people's eyes and your vision isn't just in your head, but it's something that's tangible, practical, something people can actually, like her, it's cosmetic, it was tangible, like you could actually see. But for so many years, people were saying no to her and saying, I can't do this, or what you're doing doesn't make any sense. And why would you be doing cosmetics? You don't know anything about it. But in her head, her passion was to keep it going because she was crazy until she was a top in the industry.
Yeah.
And what I love about this chapter is that she says every one of us has that until in us.
Yeah.
But we have to keep going through the crazy part and not stopping. And I think that's so poignant to this chapter because you are first.
Yeah. We all are according to this chapter. And for me, it's very interesting because I was India's first baby and child photographer, supposedly. India is very big, maybe some corner somewhere, but yeah, that's how it got published in the newspaper. And then now using self portrait has been done, but as a tool of transformation. Again, you hear what is this crazy vanity kind of a stuff that you're doing, you
I love
know.
the word vanity that you threw in there.
I mean, people when I launched my book, 100 Self Portrait, 100 Dreams. Also, people just like, isn't it vanity that you're talking about self portrait all the time? So I'm like, come to the course, and then you will know what we're talking about. You don't even you don't even know that it's just a tool that we're using to find ourselves and discover who we really are and how we're showing up, and we don't even realize. So I so relate to this chapter again about being first and being called crazy. And even during the Mothers United moment, I was like, you're going to bring people to India? Like, have you seen your likes? Say just 700 likes. People are not going to come. They're going to crash straight into the wall. I was like, okay, I will, let me crash. And then I will tell everybody what the crashing was like. I was very sure that I'll be if I'm the only one, I'll be standing on the proper stage created, and 40 of them came. So yeah, I love that. And anybody who here thinks that the being called crazy should start celebrating, because wow, you're doing something amazing. I love the fact that she has put it so clearly in the book that that's the way you celebrate, and um, take that as a clue in your message. Or somebody called you crazy, you should just go flying and just say, wow, I finally was called crazy. Okay, I'm doing something amazing. And just before I pass it on to you, I also read something, another part of it that was very interesting for me about people who are not showing up, are not feeling worthy, but people who show very vulnerably as well are also craving for attention and are still not feeling worthy. And then they use extreme. And that found me interesting because when I'm asked this question, that are you talking about when I talk about these self portraits, what are you saying that we should post more? And I'm like, it's nothing to do with more or less. It's nothing to do with showing all of you or very less of you. It's to show yourself when you are in front of the camera. How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel worthy? Do you feel amazing, or do you feel you should hide or show more? So that was a very interesting thing. The other part of it, that people who show a lot of vulnerability are also craving to become worthy. And so, what do you have to say about that part? That was interesting for me to
Well,
read.
I thought it was interesting how a lot of people who've asked you about self-portrait just automatically say self-portrait equals vanity.
Yeah.
And like that equation is society, which leads me to this passage I wanted to read from her. After many years of being called words like crazy, I couldn't help but start to wonder if I began to try desperately to feel like I belonged, and did whatever I could feel less to feel less alone and more enough. I mastered dimming my own light to let people around me feel comfortable. I swung the pendulum in an entirely different direction and spent a few decades overachieving, confusing the world's approval and celebration with love. But neither overachieving, confusing the world's approval, and celebrate oh sorry, but neither overperforming nor dimming the filled void of the enoughness that I felt inside of me. And I think that really says it, because again, even when she was on top of what the world saw as success, she still didn't have that feeling of enoughness. And the fact that she's being so vulnerable and authentic with how she was feeling through this journey of it is just so eye-opening, and gives us that idea of what it's like. Because some of us are so struggling, thinking, okay, well, as soon as I get to that level, I'm going to feel that way. Well, and then hearing from her that it wasn't even getting to that level. And so it's like, and so then the question I come up with from this is, how do I feel more worthy, more joyful in my day right now? And how do I do more of that right now? Because if I'm going to wait to get to whatever she had and still not feel that way, and I think that's the whole point that she's getting at through this, is that we need to start figuring out that we are who we are right now, that we are so unique. And I love how she says, you're not crazy, you're first, because it's true for every single person, no matter where they're at, because we are one of a kind. There's no one like us at all.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are always going to be first, no matter what. And we keep thinking, oh, someone else has already done that. But no one has done it like you, because you haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And totally, when you said that self-portrait is done with vanity, authenticity is like, so I've asked this question to my husband, saying, imagine we wake up one day and everybody in the world is authentic. And then both of us paused and we were like, the immediate association is that there's going to be a crazy world, out of control world, if everybody becomes authentic, which is what the association comes. Imagine there's going to be no, like, people just start thinking, if we become authentic, we might just go crazy, or we might just go out of line, or discipline will go up. What if all children became authentic? There would be chaos. So let them not be authentic. Let them just be coming this whatever control we can give it to them, and let them be in a situation, because authenticity cannot be overdone, which I don't believe, because I'm working on authenticity as my third level in self portrait. And the more authentic we get, the more order will come in this world, because we would be calmer, I think, according to me. And we would not be going here and there trying to get attention for being heard or hiding or getting into situations that are coming merely from frustration of not becoming who we really are meant to be. And hence, when you're talking about authenticity, I feel again, people will just, uh, it's not their fault. It's just over the period of time we've started associating with things in a way, and then we just start repeating it, like, sorry to say, but like parrots, like we just keep just saying, and then we just keep panning it out to our children, to everybody else, and then just get very scared of it, and then becoming first becomes a very big problem, because that's where the word attachment that she's talking about, attaching craziness to it, automatically comes. And in the end, nobody wants to be called crazy all the time, you know. And so yeah, it's very interesting that she's covered it up, and she's saying you're just first, and giving that back to them, that if you become your authentic self, if you are stepping into who you're meant to be, who you were born to be perfect. You were born perfect. You are perfect. You in between, I don't know where we've got lost, and we're trying to figure it out, that the the broken us, the imperfect us, and whatever's happened in between can be changed by stepping back into authenticity and accepting that crazy is actually good. I think that's what I wanted to say.
Well, that leads me into reading what the next passage I want to throw out there. When we courageously take steps towards unlearning the lies and gaining awareness of the truths and assessing the impact of our living, our lives in any way that are inauthentic, disconnected, numb, people pleasing, and out of alignment with who we truly are, we begin our journey of going from unseen to seen, from invisible to visible, from disconnected to connected, from doubting ourselves to trusting ourselves, from craving love to realizing we are already love. And I feel like that happened to me a lot, as even as I first created this business, I had this idea that moms were so alone and really need to connect with each other. And I want to be like this matchmaker for moms. And first was starting with myself and creating my own group. And I was so craving that sense of belonging, but I was trying to belong as someone I thought they wanted rather than who I was. And I didn't think I was good enough. And so needless to say, it ended just as a disaster, right? But the lessons learned, again, every failure, everything that we call a failure or something is a stepping stone, a learning stone into what it can be, so that now when I'm making connections, I'm being more honest and more forthright with the things that I want to share, the things that interest me, and really coming forth with that. And the more we start to undo what we think others want us to do and start asking ourselves, what do we truly want? And then we start going towards that. And that's where boundaries come into play. Because if we don't set those up, then we're always just trying to take on what other people are giving us. Yep. But I was listening to Brene Brown again, and she was just pointing out, as you were also talking about control, is that is the problem, is that we try to control others. And when we put that on, that's out of fear, right? That we're trying to control, whether it's a classroom, whether it's our kids, we want them to look a certain way. And so, like, you can even think about as a mom in the grocery store, you're sitting there with your child is actually nicely behaving in the cart right now, and the one next to them is like throwing everything, right? And you're like, oh. And then you walk down to like 5 aisles later, next thing you know, they're throwing Cheerios at you, and like it's that idea that it's not going to be perfect, but and how do we let them be who they are without trying to conform to what we think the people around us need to see? Because it's not that they necessarily what they're doing, is that we're worried about what other people think of us because of what they're doing. And that's a big distinction. Because at home, they're throwing the Cheerios, you might do something completely different. Then because you have the eyes on you and you're in the store, all of a sudden it's about what your fear and control about what others think of you. And so it's having that distinction and starting to realize that as we go through our days, that it really just comes down to you are you, and you are first in what you're doing. And so those dreams that are inside of you, they need to come out. But it is work, as we were talking about right before we got on.
Yeah. And even they are they. Your children are, if we are we, they are they, right? The child is who the child is, and I just think when you spoke about boundaries, what was coming to me was that the more you step into your authenticity, boundaries creating is not a effort at all. There's no effort to create boundaries. You learn to say, there's a work to do around it. You have to get into full acceptance of who you really are, how you really feel. It doesn't happen by working on it on one fine day or 3-day class or a 10-day. Like even self-portrait works like it, you can't do it once and then just forget about it and then see you shed all your negative self-image. It has to be done again and again. So similarly with the work around authenticity and who you are needs to be done again and again. And once the gap is very small and you start feeling and understanding who you really are, boundaries are not a problem, I feel. Then you just smilingly say no without really caring about what other people are feeling, because it doesn't even strike your mind. You just know it doesn't work for you, doesn't feel right for you, your energy is changing, you don't anymore want to be sitting in that energy. And that's why authenticity and understanding being first is a journey. It's not an easy journey, I can say that. But I can also say that few steps ahead, maybe more steps ahead, it'll become very, very easy to live in your full light and do more of the things that you're meant to do. And I'm sure Jamie's taken her journey from there and she's still continuing. I was there in the summit and she keeps giving the example of Oprah Winfrey, but when she came up as a surprise, she still was like shocked and she kept on saying, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And she was still dealing with, she at least has a tool to get herself back. And that's what this worthy book is about. Bring it as a tool when the chatter starts and when you start to feel, nah, I don't think so, I should do it. And it's a very important piece of work, and she's done a great job at it. And I am very glad that I'm sharing this with you, Michelle, here. And what else comes up for you in your journey with this chapter? Where do you feel you were first and you were called crazy, and how's it coming
Well,
for you?
first, I just want to read this part. In relationships, in business, and in life, while authentically alone, while authenticity doesn't alone automatically guarantee success, inauthenticity guarantees failure. And I think that's so true. And I think that relates back to my first story, the story I told about when I first started, I was being inauthentic. So it guaranteed that to fail. And the more the learning the authenticity, and again, part of it is unlearning those constraints, just like we talked about the store situation, is realizing that it's, you're worried about the perspective of the other person, not about what's going on with your child, and just starting to have those realizations and those learnings, because I mean, you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Yeah,
And so, but once you start to learn these things and look at it in a new perspective, the same situation, and rework some of this stuff, that's when it starts to change. And a lot of it is, and especially at our age, unlearning just things we learned in our childhood. But that's true of any kind of trauma, any kind of thing is just unlearning those things. But it
all the
does take time. And the more we unlearn those things, the more we kind of see the light, the worthiness inside of us already there. But it's almost like you've buried it.
Yeah.
And you're like, have to remove all the bandages that you put on top of it to see it. It's there. But the work is really going through and unlearning all the stuff that you've put on from the first time. As she said before, when you stop raising your hand thinking, I can't share the answer anymore. Those start the learnings. And now it's time to unlearn all of those that we've put on ourselves. And I feel that the same way with myself, especially as I'm getting my message out there. It's like, was my message good enough? Is it worthy enough? And worried again, like I'm the person at the card. What is everyone else saying? Rather than just looking at, this is the message that needs to come out of me, regardless. I'm doing this for me, and whoever it means something to, that's who I'm trying to reach. And if someone doesn't like it, because I mean, look at Jamie or some of the people that she even had on her worthy seminars are like, you got to ignore the haters. You got to ignore the people who are not in the arena as well. Because the people who are not out here trying to learn to be authentic, trying to see what that's all about, are the ones who are sitting there behind the computer screen or behind giving you all the things. Oh, well, you should have done it this way. Oh, I would have done it this way. And we all do things differently. And the best thing I love about what I've been doing is we are all moms trying to do the best we can. And it's about just learning to support each other, not about telling each other what to do, but supporting each other in our different decisions, because even each one of our children are so different that we mother each child differently. So how can I say that the way I mother this child is the way you should mother your child? No, I need to listen and support you in what we're doing and be there and be an ear to help you work through whatever you're going through as well, not to tell you that you need to do it this way.
Yeah.
We're not here to fix each other. We're here to listen to each other.
Yeah, and it's a good part, and out of experience, I can say it is that the minute you start working for yourself, and the minute you start trusting what's your download and your message, people come. People who are meant to be there will come. Because do not underestimate the people who are meant to be on your path. They will come. They will come while we're talking right now. Somebody might come for Michelle's thing out of, like, we're just talking about worthy. We're not even talking about your stuff, but can relate to Michelle right now and happens to be there to listening to what she's saying and just heard one line and there she is in the program. Because sometimes even little things, little connects are good enough because they can feel it. They can feel the pull. Just the way you're having the downloads, they have the downloads, they start trusting. You send the vibes and frequency of trust, and then things just pan out. The only thing with whatever's called crazy and taking those paths is have trust. One, in yourself, that you're going to do all right, and two, that the universe has your back, and we're going to reach. Sometimes we don't know where we're going to reach, but we are going to reach where this path is going to take us. All you have to do is one step, next step, third step, fourth step, keep taking, keep walking, rest and walk, rest and take, till you reach a point and say, this is where I wanted to be, and now I want to change my path, and something else is calling me. So it'll only happen because every day you just have to say, okay, it doesn't matter, you're calling me crazy, and my focus is not on what you're calling. My focus is what am I creating. Let me just focus and get back to the path, and I'll talk to you later, when I don't even want to prove here that I'm not crazy. I might be, but I want to do it because it feels right.
I love how you said frequencies, because it made me think but as we embrace our first as that crazy, we do start to change our frequency. And that's when we actually start attracting people on that frequency. So we start attracting other people who are in that realm that we're in, so that we can get that support that we need to keep going. Yeah. Because it's going to start small with that support until we keep growing, until we get our intel. So Jamie got her until and was able to sell its cosmetics and do something different. But so each of us has to work towards that until, and it's not going to come magically or overnight with all the money is. Some businesses tell you oh, I did this overnight, and it is about getting that out of you, and what is that actual message you need to get across. And so this question she puts in there: who would you be if you lived your life embracing your firstness and all of who you authentically are? How freeing would it be if you decide to live the answer?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about, is really embracing that firstness, that authenticity in you. And it's not easy. But on the other hand, when she points it out, is what does it feel like when you are in a room full of people and connecting with them, but it's not who you are? I always felt more alone when I was in a group of people and I was trying to be people pleasing or being someone else. Yeah. It's almost even, it is more comfortable to stand alone in your authentic self as you're embracing that, and then attracting those people who actually are attracted to your authentic self because they're out there, and it's just
And
not necessarily automatically.
I just feel that you're never alone in your authenticity. You will never be when you step into your authenticity. It's just a thing that we made up in our head that the minute we'll be authentic, or if I say no to this person, or if I step into what saying no to what I don't like, or if I can be honest, whether it's a relationships or something, everything's going to go crashing down. We have just made such a big mountain already in advance of what's going to happen if you step into the authenticity, that we're never going to go and fight with that mountain anyway. But if you just, as I'm saying, if you do the work and you start sitting in your authenticity, the mountain will never be created. You will never be shouting and screaming to people to say that I'm authentic, this is me, accept me. Because if you're an authentic, people will look at you and they say, she's so authentic and she's so free, and it'll show in your walking, it'll show in your sitting, it'll show in your pictures, because I'm all about pictures. It'll show the way you show up, and people will just look at it and say, yeah, she's a little crazy, but it's cool, or like we feel comfortable around her. And that's my experience. So I want to tell this to people, because I am working at level 3 in self-portrait now with authenticity, and I am saying it again and again. That's not the truth that you've been hearing. It's a lie that if being authentic, you'll go crazy, out of control. Being authentic will calm you down. It'll just make you so calm that all the triggers that are happening actually starts vanishing, because you're just like, yeah, this is not me, and that's okay. And then you start accepting other people's authenticity with ease. The triggers won't happen, you know, because you're like, all that she wants, all that he wants is this, and I understand it's authentic to them right now. Or you start seeing that they're struggling with their authenticity, and that's why they're coming at you like this. So a lot of things happen when you start stepping into your authenticity, and I urge people to know that authenticity is your birthright, and we must choose it over being accepted by people, because we are always choosing acceptance. Let's be accepted by the world over our authenticity. But authenticity is our birthright, and we have the right, and everything will fall in place. Trust me. Trust me, everything will fall in place. And then you just have to practice it enough, uh, and then it'll just be a small reminder to you when you're going off rather than work. But initially it'll be some work every day, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever, to keep calling back and coming back to authenticity. And then it'll be just a reminder. It'll just reach till here and be like, it doesn't match, and then you can step back into that energy and frequency. So amazing work, amazing work, amazing work you're doing, Michelle, as well. And I'm cheering you up with whatever you're creating. And don't you don't even have to worry. There are people already standing. You just have to switch on your frequency. They're already standing to be in your festival. They're already standing, waiting. When is Michelle? They don't even know they're waiting, but they're actually waiting. And when is Michelle going to launch? Because look at Jamie talking about alone, alone, alone. Look at millions of people following her, and and she's still not fully authentic. She feels she still has to work. She still has to keep doing her work every day, because a lot of work has already been done on us to become inauthentic. So just undoing that work and then doing the new work is the fun part, not the problem part. It's the fun part. And I'm very excited to do that every day of my life right now. And and I'm so happy for you that you're stepping into what you are. What are your last words, Michelle?
Well,
And we should.
on that note, I have a final challenge for everyone that just came to me. And the challenge for everyone today is I want you to, when it feels like in you, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, I can't do this, tell the person in front of you no. See what happens. We're so afraid of the word no. Make no your friend. And I'm telling you, not just go say no to everyone, but when it feels in you like, this doesn't feel right, I don't really want to do this, I'm just doing this because of them, what would it feel like to do it? Just tell them no and see what happens, because we're so afraid of it. So just try one no.
Yeah, that's a good challenge. And also, if you're afraid of no, we can just say, it's not meant for me right now. if
Yeah.
that's the mid word. It's not meant for me right now. I don't think I'll do justice to your wish right now with however I am. And like we can always accommodate. If no is an ego hurt to people, we don't even have to go to that frequency. We can just say, not for me right now, not in my plan for this 2 months, 4 months. And then maybe I'll revisit. If you really think I should listen to what you're saying, maybe I'll revisit in few months and see how I feel. So people really can't react to that because it's not in your plan. Your plan is to work on yourself, to get your authentic thing out. Your plan is your children. Your plan is to undo, like, first of all, not do things to your children. That itself is a very big work. And helping them step into, because they're, as moms, we've brought them here. They're the I was in a summit and they were called newbies to this planet, and that felt so good. I was like, yeah, they are newbies to this planet. It's our responsibility to introduce them to this planet and this life in the best possible way we can. And not that they already, like, I don't know what we do with them, this the little creatures that come in our life. But when you see them, as you see in a class, a newcomer coming in, how you accommodate on this planet. These newbies are being brought. We're just the channel and they're just brought, and now these newbies are walking excited what's happening. And then, so before I end, I'll tell you, once I wanted to, I still want to do that program sometimes. But I was asked, my husband works for corporate, so I was asking him, I was like, when a new person comes in your office, what do you do, really do? How do you integrate them? He's like, oh, we figured it out. The seniors have people who've left before on that path. They actually, guide them and give them all the files. We let them do the mistakes for some time because they are adjusting. So I was just like, what about our children? Aren't they doing the same? Aren't, like, if you're so accommodating to somebody who's being enrolled newly in a corporate, and it's okay for sometimes to give them some time to settle in, why in be in a hurry for our children to settle in the chaos of the world, and not let them really figure it out and give them a chance to speak up, to settle in, to find their way, to take their seat, and then say, all right, welcome to the chaotic world. But we started at such a young age. And I have a story since yesterday, it's been bothering me. My younger one has come back saying that, there's a story about some brushing your teeth. Um, and he went to brush his teeth 3 times yesterday. And I'm like, so there's a boogeyman who's going to come if I don't brush my teeth. I'm like, there's no boogeyman. No, mama, there is a boogeyman. Even my son is telling me I'm crazy in his words. I'm like, there is no boogeyman. Your teeth will get spoiled and cavity, and one time brushing is okay. So every time he's putting something in his mouth, he's so scared and fearful that the boogeyman will come, that he's brushing his teeth. Can you imagine, with a simple story like this, we've put a fear already on him of something else. You do the right things because somebody else will come and be a bad thing in your life. So you might as well behave yourself. And I have to go to the school and talk to them about this boogeyman, because I was arguing literally with a 4-year-old while driving, and I'm like, there is no boogeyman. But I went and told my teacher that there is no boogeyman, my mama said. And she said, no, there is a boogeyman. And she's right, because she's my teacher. I'm like you rejected your own mother at the age of 4 and telling me you're crazy, but it's okay. I'm the first in this house to tell you there's no boogeyman, so be happy about it. So that's how we're doing it, slowly, not realizing in innocent ways, where it dawns on us to say that you're crazy. Imagine my 4-year-old already telling me you're crazy, and I'm like, I'm ready to be crazy, but there's no boogeyman. There's going to be a conversation today also
Well,
about
that's
that.
just it. We just need to embrace the craziness
Yeah.
and own it and say this is who we are. And at some point we'll get our but until then, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And thank you for joining in, whoever is joining in. That's amazing. And we're going to keep doing this because this conversation is good. It's very authentic of me and Michelle to step in just like that, just to do it, just because there is no reason and there is nothing to offer really after this we're not offering anything. We're just supporting Jamie's work because she's worked very hard and we both resonate with it. So, and in our own works also, it somehow this work comes up. So thank you, Michelle, for creating this. And I like StreamYard, if I can say it publicly. I love the experience. And we'll see you next week or whenever we can make time to do this. We'll keep you informed and we'll be there. Michelle, good luck with your festival. Really looking forward to being part of it.
Awesome. I look forward to having you, and I look forward to just getting the genius and everyone out there. But let's just start by embracing our craziness until we get our until. But it's okay because we got each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye, everyone.